Hello, Justin.
Good morning, Mr. Clegg.
Morning.
You just mentioned differing standards and responsibility. You give £10 million to the Somerset flood victims. You've earmarked £15 million for the rebuilding of the south coast. I won't even mention that 60,000 people are on food banks. But, then miraculously you find £500 million to give to the Ukraine. That's not part of the EU, it's nothing to do with the UK, and it's bust. It has no means of paying Russia the £21 billion that it owes it, and you'll lose that £500 million faster than you've lost the £1 billion that you've given to Greece. I don't think it's in your mandate to waste UK taxpayers' money so wantonly.
Well, I disagree with you strongly, Justin. I think the idea that we can turn our backs on what is happening in the very centre of Europe, in the continent of which we're a part, I think it is massively in our vital national self-interest for our security, for the kind of prosperity of our own European backyard, that we play our bit. Obviously, with others, we can't do this on our own by any stretch of the imagination. Internationally as well, in the IMF, in the European Union, to play our bit to try and both calm and stabilise the situation. Having millions and millions of increasingly impoverished Ukrainians living in a country of ever greater instability is not by any stretch of the imagination in Britain's interest, because it would have a direct knock-on effect on the kind of prosperity and stability of our European neighbourhood as a whole, upon which we of course depend, because we're part of that. So look, I totally. I mean, there's a different issue about whether you think that enough money is going to help those affected by the floods. Very happy to talk about that. I really would strongly, though, I think you and I are just going to have a very honest disagreement about that. The idea that in this modern world we can or should turn our backs on events which are taking place on our doorstep is something I strongly disagree with.
Justin. Two things. Firstly, it's not on our doorstep. It's part of Russia. Secondly, they owe Russia.
It's not part of Russia, Justin. It's not actually part.
And thirdly, much more importantly, what if Russia then decides to, shall we say, influence the Scottish debate and offer them £500 million just to tide them over? I mean, how upset would British people be then? And that's exactly the same as what Europe's doing in the Ukraine.
No, Justin, I think we come at this from such different directions. The Ukraine is a huge country in the middle of Europe. It's not actually part of Russia,
which has no assets.
Well, it is of huge importance to Europe because it is the transit country for a lot of our energy supplies, amongst other things. It is a very large country. It is in a very strategically important location. I mean, you don't have people like, I don't know, the American president talking about this from the other side of the Atlantic because it's some irrelevant local difficulty. This is a major issue in our own European hemisphere, and I think you and I probably just part company, because I think one of the things that makes our country great is that we don't just shrug our shoulders and walk on the other side of the road when things happen.
We have more problems in this country that need dealing with.
But it's not either. It is not either.
To have £500 million given to it.
But Justin, forgive me. It is not either or. It is not you either try and play our role internationally to seek to ensure that prosperity and stability rather than instability.
Justin,
can I just finish? Can I finish?
Prime Minister finish. I'll give you one rejoinder in a minute.
It is a false choice to say that you either help Ukraine or you help those who've been affected by floods. It is just not like that. And if anything, I would argue that if we don't play a role, an ongoing role, in seeking to make our own European neighbourhood as prosperous as possible, you don't actually create the prosperous Britain which generates the tax receipts to help our own.
Last point to you, Justin.
So you're making other people prosperous, but not the UK?
No.
I mean, Devon and Cornwall is losing £5 million a day because of the Dawlish line, and yet you're quite happy to pump £500 million into the Ukraine.
Justin, forgive me, if you think that us giving a little less money to Ukraine is going to fix the broken railway line at Dawlish, then we really are not only just on different viewpoints, we're on different planets. It is a ludicrous suggestion to say that the assistance we're trying to give, or working with other countries to give to Ukraine, has a bearing on how quickly Network Rail can fix the broken rails in Dawlish.
Is there an imbalance, though, the £10 million that's been offered to local businesses, Deputy Prime Minister, and the £500 million that's been found for Ukraine? Is there an imbalance there?
Well, £10 million is not the sum total, of course, of the assistance that we've given. So we're offering every household that is sort of having to redo their homes after they've been affected by floods, £5,000 to put in, better defences against floods. We've of course got this big debate about how much money we spend as a country as a whole on flood defences. We're spending £3.1 billion during this Parliament alone. We're giving council tax breaks to people who have been affected by floods. I was in the southwest twice talking to other businesses, farmers, to fishermen and others about how we can help them. So the 10 million that Justin refers to, of course, is not the sum total of what we're seeking to do in order to help those affected by floods and to try and prevent it from happening again in the future.
Just before we move on, it's been just reported, news breaking, that there are Russian military jets now on the Ukraine area been put on combat alert. That's literally just broken within the last 2 or 3 minutes. Your response, Mr. Clegg?
Well, I obviously haven't seen it because I've been in here for the last 2 or 3 minutes, but these kind of developments are very worrying indeed. We all want to see the tensions, which are now running very high indeed, particularly in the Crimea and the eastern parts of Ukraine, subside. It's very important the new and interim government in Ukraine reaches out, does not seek to alienate any parts of the Ukrainian community, that there is calm in the dialogue between Ukraine and Russia, and that we in Europe...
Not much calm if jets are on combat alert, though, lastly, Mr. Clegg.
That's why it's so important the politicians seek to de-escalate the tensions and not in any way stoke them.